thought I had the perfect marriage until I came home early one day and heard my wife giggling on a video call with a man who loved football, a sport she always claimed to hate. That moment shattered everything I believed about us, and what followed was a storm of betrayal, heartbreak, and the kind of revenge you don't see coming. This is how I lost the woman I loved and found the life I truly deserved. Welcome to Infidelity Truths. Before we dive into today's gripping story, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us create more thrilling stories just for you. Let's begin. I've been married to Linda for over a decade now. We first met as classmates and neighbors, and we spent so much time together that what started as a harmless crush eventually bloomed into something real. And of course, it led to marriage. For the longest time, I believed that we were the epitome of a healthy relationship, something others could look up to, especially the kids we always planned on having, though that never quite happened. Then one day, I came home from work earlier than usual. As I approached the house, I heard voices coming from our bedroom. Curiosity got the better of me, so I moved closer, just enough to catch snippets of a conversation. It was Linda, but she wasn't alone. She was chatting on a video call with a guy, and from the way they were talking, it wasn't just some friendly chat. The conversation, football, a sport she couldn't stand. She was one of those women who could binge watch TV series for hours, but the moment a sports channel was on, she'd roll her eyes and change the channel. My stomach dropped as I stood there quietly listening. It was clear now, Linda was talking to someone she shouldn't be, but I didn't want to confront her right then and there. So I backed off and quietly returned to the hallway, slamming the front door behind me to let her know I was home. The chatter stopped instantly, and within moments, Linda appeared in the hallway, all smiles and dressed in nothing but her underwear. It was as though her behavior confirmed everything I feared. For the next several days, I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd overheard. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. So I began following Linda, trying to piece together more about this mysterious man. It didn't take long before I stumbled upon some photos on her sister's social media. A few months ago, Linda had visited her sister in the countryside. She called me complaining about how bored she was, then shared pictures of them grilling kebabs outside. But the ones I found, those were different. There were no extra photos, nothing else that would raise an eyebrow. Yet her sister had posted a few shots, probably showing off some guy who was clearly into football. I couldn't leave it like that. So I decided to have a straight talk with Linda. When I finally did, it didn't take long to get to the bottom of the truth. After a heated argument, I told her she had to leave the house. She could go live with her farmer. I couldn't bear the thought of her living in our home anymore. She immediately started apologizing, but I couldn't bring myself to accept it. The betrayal was too strong. Linda collapsed, her emotions overwhelming her as she broke down into tears. She clutched her hair, trembling with despair, and then, out of nowhere, she let out a loud, frantic scream. For a moment, I'll admit, I was a little afraid. But I quickly shook it off and tried to steady myself. Linda didn't get up, though. Instead, she slid down the wall to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. I had to step in. I moved toward her, gently grabbing her by the elbows to help her up. She looked at me, her face a mess of tears and regret. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice shaky, then paused. "I'm sorry," she repeated, louder this time, more desperate. But honestly, I don't even know how it all happened. All I remember is that after that night, I was done. "Shut up! For God's sake, stop!" I couldn't bear hearing any more of her apologies or excuses. I had already made up my mind. What was there to forgive? She should be thankful I didn't lose it completely when I first found out. The nerve of her, trying to make me listen to her justification. It was maddening. Linda grabbed my hands, trying to pull me to her, pleading. "You see, I should have stopped him. I didn't want this conversation. You didn't want his company." I blurted out in response, my voice cutting through the air. "Remind me how the last day ended," I said sharply. Her face paled. She staggered back and banged her head against the wall. Her eyes were wide open, tears glistening in them, and they were full of shock. I knew that she had just been caught in another lie. Shut up, I snapped. Pack your bags and get out. We'll meet in court, and we'll divide the assets, taking your betrayal into account, of course. That evening, Linda packed up and left. She walked out of the home we built, leaving me with nothing but the echoes of her tears. A week later, I received a text from her, a crying message, asking me to bring her clothes. She gave me an address. I knew I couldn't just let it go. I decided I would finish this like a man. So I got into my car and drove the 200 kilometers to her. When I arrived, I found out she had run off to her sister's place in the countryside. Who would have guessed, right? But of course, she didn't send me the address from her sister's place. It was from her new boyfriend's. I pulled up, parked, and waited. I sat there for a minute, then two while the car's engine idled. And as I waited, I couldn't help but think. It's one thing to try and do something good for someone, but it's another to sit there humiliating yourself parked right under their windows. In the end, I opened the trunk, took out a suitcase, and, well, I probably accidentally dropped it in a puddle when I got up. Not that I cared much at the time. I opened the back door and began to dump the contents of the suitcase on the grass, as if it were ordinary trash. I closed the trunk, got back in the car, and drove away. That's all. The end of this chapter. It wasn't long before everything collapsed between us. To be honest, I wasn't surprised. Why should I be? After all, we only bought a car over the years, and I ended up giving it to my mom. However, I inherited this apartment from my grandmother. 6 months later, Linda tried to reinsert herself into my life. But as they say, a holy place is never truly empty. I quickly added her and her family to my blacklist. Her betrayal had cost her everything, her family, her future with me, but it also gave me the freedom to turn the page and start a new chapter. The best part? It finally allowed me to become a father. 6 months had passed since Linda walked out of my life, and honestly, I was doing better than I thought I would. I'd started over. I focused on my work, my mental health, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I could breathe again. I even started volunteering at a local youth center, and that's where I met Nora. Nora was nothing like Linda. She was warm, attentive, soft-spoken, and had a calming presence that made my messy past feel like a distant memory. We didn't rush into anything. It started with casual conversations. Then coffee. And before long, I was smiling again, genuinely. 3 months into knowing Nora, she gave me news that turned my world upside down. She was pregnant. My heart stopped, but not from fear, from joy. I was finally going to be a father, the dream Linda and I never achieved. I was about to live it with someone who actually wanted the same future as me. But just as I started to settle into this new chapter, the past came knocking, in the worst way. One evening, I received a call from an unknown number. I didn't answer. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again, this time with a message. I know everything. I'm coming for what's mine. It was Linda. I blocked the number instantly. But that didn't stop her. 2 days later, Nora found a strange woman standing outside my apartment building, arguing with security and screaming my name. It was Linda, of course. Hair a mess, sunglasses hiding swollen eyes, and her voice trembling with fake concern. "She's using you," she shouted. "She just wants your apartment, your money. Wake up." I rushed downstairs and practically dragged Linda away from the building. She clung to my arm, crying, "I made a mistake. I want us back. I still love you." "You what?" I said through clenched teeth. "You love me now after choosing someone else? After humiliating me?" "I wasn't thinking clearly," she cried. "He was a mistake. We broke up. I'm alone." I laughed bitterly. "So you came here because you're lonely, not because you love me." Her face twitched. The truth was out. I told her she had no right showing up and harassing Nora, especially since Nora was carrying my child. That's when her expression changed completely. "She's pregnant?" she whispered. I nodded. She went silent for a moment, then whispered, "That child should have been mine." I didn't respond. I walked back into the building and told security she was no longer welcome. And for a while, I thought that would be the end of it. But Linda wasn't done. A week later, I came home to find Nora sitting on the couch, pale and shaken. She showed me a letter, An anonymous tip sent to her workplace, accusing her of fraud, and even suggesting she had a criminal record. Of course, it was false. But the timing, the tone. I knew who was behind it. Linda had gone from heartbreak to warpath. I called her. She answered on the second ring. "What do you want from me?" I demanded. "You took everything," she said coldly. "You think you can just erase me like I didn't matter?" "You erased yourself the day you cheated, the day you lied to my face. Then suffer," she snapped and hung up. I knew then this wasn't over, but I also knew one thing. I wasn't afraid anymore. After that call with Linda, I knew she wasn't just bitter, she was dangerous. And with Nora now in her third trimester, I needed to act fast to protect my family. I spoke to a lawyer and documented everything, her threats, the false reports, the harassment. Meanwhile, I made sure Nora stayed with her parents for a while, far away from any drama. I wanted peace. But Linda, she wanted a war. One afternoon, I came home to find my front door slightly open. My heart jumped. I walked in slowly, and there she was, Linda, sitting on the couch like she still lived there. "What the hell are you doing here?" I barked. "I still have a key," she said flatly. "And this place?" "We built it together." "You didn't build anything. I inherited this apartment, remember?" She stood up slowly, eyes blazing. "You think you can throw me away like trash and start a new life like I never existed?" "I didn't throw you away," I said. "You walked out the moment you betrayed me. You broke this. You don't get to rewrite history." "You're not the victim," she screamed. "You were never around, always working, always distant." I was lonely. I stepped forward. "Then you should have left like an adult. Not crawled into another man's bed and then blamed me for it." She fell silent. For once, she had no comeback. "You need help, Linda, not revenge." Her voice cracked. "I miss you." "Well, I don't," I said. "And I never will." I called the police. They escorted her out of my apartment. That night, I changed every lock, deleted every old photo, and cleared every trace of her from my life, for good. Weeks passed. Nora came back home. We were stronger than ever and more united. Then the day finally arrived. Our baby girl was born. I can't explain the feeling of holding her in my arms for the first time. Her tiny fingers wrapping around mine, her eyes blinking slowly, unaware of the chaos that once surrounded her birth. We named her Eliana, which means God has answered. And he truly had. As for Linda, she tried reaching out once more, this time through her mother. Apologies, explanations, regret. But I never responded. Not out of hatred, but because I'd finally outgrown that chapter. Some bridges don't need to be burned. They need to be forgotten. I built a new life. Not perfect, but honest. And with Nora and Eliana by my side, I finally felt complete. Not because I had revenge, but because I found peace. So to anyone going through betrayal, heartbreak, or the darkest days of their life, remember this. You don't have to fight fire with fire. Sometimes the best revenge is rebuilding and being happy. The moral lesson for the story. Betrayal doesn't break you. It reveals the truth. Sometimes walking away from what hurt you is the first step toward everything you deserve. Never settle for someone who treats loyalty like an option. Respect, honesty, and peace of mind aren't luxuries, they're the bare minimum. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you don't miss our next powerful story. Thank you for watching. Until next time.